shall we begin?
Let the games begin.
All right.
A new age has begun. An age of freedom.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
Get to the chopper!
This is going to be quite the ride.
And hello, everybody, and welcome to the Movie Pit Podcast. I am your host, Christian Renteria, and this is the Movie Pit Podcast, where we talk about all the big breaking movie news items of the week, along with the trailers that came out this week. We have quite a few of those, and we'll talk about the movies that are out in theaters and streaming for all your viewing pleasures this weekend. Hello, everybody. We're just gonna get right into it. We got quite a hefty news week that came out this week. I feel like a lot of the studios are just trying to get as much as they could out before Comic-Con, because obviously Comic-Con is going to go on this weekend. We will not have any Comic-Con news on the podcast this week. I will most likely, I'm not going to guarantee that I'm doing one, although I have done one with all the other Comic-Cons that have happened, but since I've started the podcast anyway. But there may be a Comic-Con podcast next week, probably Monday, the latest Tuesday, talking about some of the big Comic-Con news. Obviously, if anything, obviously this weekend I will try to, drop a lot of the bigger stuff on the Twitter page, maybe get your opinions, and maybe I can read some of your opinions here on the podcast. But as of right now, all the Comic-Con stuff will be its own podcast, and I do feel like a lot of the studios are just trying to drop a lot of stuff as much as they could before the Comic-Con drop, because obviously the Comic-Con news is going to be taking over the weekend and the news cycle, maybe even starting late tonight. I'm recording this on Thursday, maybe even Friday when it's the first full day of Comic-Con. So Comic-Con is going to be taking over a lot of stuff, but like I mentioned, we will not be talking about Comic-Con on the podcast today, but we do have quite a lot to get to. So let's get started, and let's start off like we always do with trailer talk.
Coming soon to theaters.
All right, so we have quite a few trailers that dropped this week. Very quickly, there was the first trailer for the new Jeepers Creepers movie called Jeepers Creepers Reborn. It won't have like a full wide theater release. It's gonna be in theaters for 3 days. It's part of a Fathom events. It's only gonna be in theaters 3 days, from September 19th to the 21st. By the way, September 19th is a Monday, so this movie is going to be in theaters Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday in September, late September at that. It doesn't look good. It doesn't. I'm not gonna lie. It doesn't look good. And the Jeepers Creepers movies themselves have a very tarnished history. After finding out, that the director of the original movies was a scumbag, basically. And his whole thing, if you don't know anything about the director, go ahead and read that yourself to be shocked, as like a lot of people were. And it kind of does diminish what those movies were a little bit, because those movies, before finding out that he was, what he was, the first one, very creepy, had just like that, kind of just style about it. And the second one, not as great, it kind of it tried just to add a little bit more of what the first one was, and just add more victims and stuff. Just kind of did it in a very convoluted way a little bit. This one, it's called Reborn, so it's kind of like not even a remake or a reboot. It's just kind of another addition to what's going on. It looks like the creeper, the monster of the movies is like a folklore in the town wherever they are. I don't know. It just doesn't look good. But if you want to go check that out, and if you want to go check it out in theaters for the 3 days that it's in there, I'm sure it will be on VOD sometime after that. But there you go. Go check that out if you want. The next trailer we're going to talk about very quickly is Peacock dropped a new trailer for their upcoming slasher horror film called They Them, or They Slash Them. The movie is set in a conversion therapy camp called the Whistler Camp, which is run by Owen Whistler, played by Kevin Bacon, who is all friendly to all the people that are there, the campers, quote unquote. Not really campers, because it's not really a camp. It's a conversion therapy place. I can't think of the word. I'll just say camp. That's not the word I was looking for, though. But center. That's what I was looking for. It's not really a center, because it's the middle of the woods, which is why I said it's a camp. Anyway, he's all friendly with them, and he's saying just enjoy the sunshine and everything else. Work on your tan, which is something he says in the trailer. But it doesn't turn out that way, because the conversion camp has a killer on the loose, and it's killing the teens that are there, who were sent there anyway. And it's there's we talked briefly about this when the teaser dropped. I think it was last month, really. The turnover for a trailer was pretty quick, considering that the movie does open on Peacock on August 5th. So, we're not that far away. We're about 2-3 weeks away from that right now. So it doesn't look too bad, honestly. It's obviously a twist on the slasher camp genre. It's probably going to be very obviously it's obviously very of the time, with it being a conversion therapy camp, or whatever you want to call them, which are obviously not the best places in general, but this is taking that and upping the scale to 1,000 by making it a horror film and making it a slasher horror film at that. So but yeah, there you go. They/them will open again on Peacock on August 5th. The next trailer is for Breaking. This stars John Boyega, of course, from the Star Wars movies and Attack the Block, and the upcoming Warrior Queen. This movie is based off a true story of Lance Corporal Brian Aisley, I think I'm pronouncing that last name right, a veteran who threatened to blow up a bank to call attention to the U.S. government's neglect of former soldiers when they return home. Aisley himself suffered from PTSD and visual field loss after serving in the Navy. When he returns home, he is condemned to poverty and relied on a check of $892, which was the original title of the movie, 892, not $892, it was 892, from the Department of Veteran Affairs. However, they never got it, and that's when his plan goes into motion. I won't go more into the story, because I didn't know anything. Unfortunately, I did not know anything about Aisley's story, and when I was reading up on what the movie was about and saw the trailer, I obviously kind of learned his story, and it's an unfortunate story, and it's a story that is very true, and it's a story you hear a lot, and it's a story that, despite how many actual stories there are similar to this, not him taking the extreme measure of threatening to blow up a bank and blow himself up in the process, but the story of veterans coming home and not being treated properly. We see it all the time. It's not just something that is made up for movies or TV or books or anything like that. It's a real thing, and it's unfortunate. So if you want to know more of Aisley's story, there is an in-depth article. I didn't read the article, but a lot of what I read, a lot of the outlet, or the story rather, that I read about Aisley, some of it came from the article itself. So the in-depth article, it's on Task and Purpose by Aaron Gill. If you want to go read that article, it went very deep into Aisley's life and his service and what happened to him, and everything that led up to the bank incident, which was a Wells Fargo bank at that. And it's unfortunate what happened. And the movie, or the trailer rather, it looks great. It looks powerful. John Boyega. It's interesting, John Boyega has his career. He could have been the next big star in Hollywood. He could have gone and done a bunch of big projects, after doing Star Wars and after doing Detroit, which is the movie about the Detroit riots that he was a part of. He could have gone and done, all these franchise movies. He could have went and done all these big budget tentpole movies. But instead, he went to more character-driven stuff, and he went to more, movies that, he's been working. It's not like he hasn't been working. He has been working. A lot of his stuff, unfortunately, is limited releases or movies that go straight to VOD or streaming. But he is working, and a lot of that stuff that he does, gets some recognition, but not, as big a recognition. But maybe this will change that pace. Obviously, being based off a true story can probably help. But Breaking will open on August 26th. It will open in theaters. I don't know if it will be a wide release or a limited release, but nonetheless, this looks powerful. And it's not just John Boyega. Michael K. Williams is in there. I think this might have been one of the last movies he did before he sadly passed away. I think, who's the other person I saw in there? I don't know. I didn't put the cast in front of me. There was someone else in there that I recognize, and I just can't remember who they are now. But, Melissa Leo. That's who it was. She's in there. It looks like she's playing, I don't know who she's playing. It looks like Michael K. Williams is playing a cop that that Aisley is talking to throughout the whole movie. And I think Melissa Leo is playing someone from like the 911 dispatch or something like that. But again, it looks powerful. I didn't know anything about this movie. Again, I didn't know anything about Easily, and then now knowing his story, it's like I said, just one of those unfortunate things that it does happen, and if we get to see a dramatized version of that, and it puts more eyes on that, then great. Moving on to the bigger trailers of the week. This trailer literally came out right as I pressed record the first time, and I had to stop pressing and I had to turn off my recording because I had to watch it to talk about it, obviously. And it's a new trailer for Olivia Wilde's second feature directorial film, Don't Worry, Darling. We've talked about this when the first trailer came out. We've been talking about this movie since it was announced. The film is set in the 1950s and follows Florence Pugh, who plays Alice, who along with her husband named Jack, played by Harry Styles, are living in an idolized community named Victory, which is an experimental company town housing men who work on a top secret project called the Victory Project. Can't talk. The town and project are run by Frank, played by Chris Pine, and while the husbands are away most of the day working, the women spend their time in luxury. However, Alice soon discovers that not everything is as what it seems and tries to expose what is really going on. The movie co-stars Gemma Chan, Kiki Lane, Nick Kroll, and Timothy Simons. It is written by Booksmart screenwriter Katie Silberman, so it is a little reunion there, and will open on September 23rd. Just like the trailer before, this is really giving off a twisted psychological vibe. I almost got a Get Out vibe from the trailer anyway, not necessarily from the movie. I mean, maybe the movie will be a little Get Out vibes, but the trailer was definitely a Get Out vibe. This really doesn't give anything away either, not like the other trailer either. I can't make anything out in what to think. I'm really looking forward to it because it looks pretty good. It's got a great cast, obviously, and it looks great. The cinematography looks amazing in this project as well. There's a nice shot that shows it's a town from up above, and it looks like a spiral, which is not what I was expecting from that, but that's what it looks like. But the trailer also has these weird, like, dancers, like, against, like, a black, like, it's like blackness, and then it's like these weird dancers with like this makeup doing these weird, like, moving around and everything, and like getting really close to the camera. It just looks weird, and that's kind of what's giving me the Get Out vibes a little bit. But it's intercut with Simons' character, who it looks like he plays a doctor for the town, and he says that some women in the town are having or have had bad dreams, quote unquote. And then it shows like Florence Pugh looking at. I don't think the two are connected, but it shows her. Florence Pugh's character looking at this kind of like file that's all blacked out from the project, I guess. So yeah, it's creepy. There's extended shots that we saw in the trailer, like the one that really kind of grabbed everybody from the first trailer of Pugh's character with her head in like plastic wrap, which the shot itself in the first trailer, very disturbing and it was very noticeable. Here it's an extended look at it, and we see her wrapping her head. Like, she's not being forced to do it. It looks like she's doing willingly, and it's just disturbing. So yeah, the trailer gives nothing away. Again, like the last trailer, that also gave nothing away. And that's, I think, what makes Don't Worry, Darling even more intriguing. The fact that it's not giving anything away. You don't know what's really going on. We have the bare basics of the movie. We know that Florence Pugh has something going on, and Chris Pine, it's kind of insinuated in the trailer that he's been looking forward to someone coming and challenging him and his town and everything that's going on. And I don't know, it's weird. And then it looks like Florence Pugh, like, there are a lot of times where like mirrors play a factor. There's that shot where it looks like she's like claustrophobic and like the mirror's pressing against her. There's also a shot where she's looking at someone. I think it's Kiki Lane's character, where she's looking in mirrors and Kiki Lane's like on the other side and she's trying to like burst through. But then there's like another quick shot of like Florence Pugh like in the bathtub, and it's like she goes underneath, but her reflection is still in the mirror, and her reflection like looks like toward the camera. So yeah, I don't know what's going on, but I like it. I do like it, and I'm looking forward to it. So like I said, Don't Worry, Darling will open on September 23rd. We'll obviously talk more about that once it comes around for a release. And the big trailer that came out this week, and the final trailer we're going to talk about, at least at the time of this recording, is the new trailer. And the first trailer, Universal and Blumhouse dropped the highly anticipated first trailer for the highly anticipated Halloween Ends. It is a short and simple trailer. It is also very, very good. the bulk of the trailer is pretty much seeing the final showdown between Laurie and Michael in a house, and showing that no one is holding back. It also looks like Laurie is wearing something, the same clothes, or something at least very similar to what she was wearing in the first Halloween movie. And when I talk about the first Halloween movie, I'm meaning John Carpenter's first Halloween movie. Director David Gordon Green teased recently that the movie will be, quote, more intimate and contained. And it has already been revealed that the movie will have a 4-year time jump. And if you remember, Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills pretty much took place on the same night, like a few hours apart from each other. So the time jump here is very interesting and very intriguing. That said, there is a synopsis for the trailer, or this synopsis for the movie, and it's kind of the first real synopsis that we've gotten from the movie. And it's interesting because this synopsis is only on the Universal Pictures YouTube trailer link, not the Blumhouse trailer link, only the Universal trailer link. But Universal released this synopsis, which is rather interesting, and this kind of maybe goes along with what Jamie Lee Curtis has said also. She has said that a lot of people are going to be pissed off with Halloween Ends, and everything kind of we're getting from Halloween Ends, even before the movie comes out, are saying that it's going to be a very different movie, and that people should not lower, but should keep their expectations on check. So here's a synopsis, and here's a synopsis for them. I'm just going to read the synopsis, and then we'll get into it. 4 years after the events of last year's Halloween Kills, Laurie is living with her granddaughter, Allison, who of course will be played once again by Andy Matchek. I think that's how you pronounce her last name. That's probably not how you pronounce her last name, but that's how I'm pronouncing it. Anyway, she's living with her granddaughter Allison, and is finishing writing her memoir. Michael Myers hasn't been seen since. Laurie, after allowing the specter of Michael to determine and drive her reality for decades, has decided to liberate herself from fear and rage and embrace life. But when a young man, Corey Cunningham, played by Rowan Campbell, is accused of killing a boy he was babysitting, it ignites a cascade of violence and terror that will force Laurie to finally confront the evil she can't control once and for all. That is a synopsis that Universal has released for Halloween Ends. So we have another new character in the movie, this Corey Cunningham guy, who is accused of killing a boy he was babysitting. I don't know. So like I mentioned, the bulk of the trailer that we see is Laurie and Michael fighting. There's brief shots of all these other new characters. It looks like they're all about to die. It looks like they all see Michael and they're about to die. But there is one particular shot of a guy in a sewer, and it looks like he's like frightened, or he's running or scared or something. But he's in there, and a hand pops out, and it's presumably, obviously, Michael Myers' hand, and he grabs him, and he looks like he's choking him, but we don't see him. But that person is Rowan Campbell. So that probably is Corey Cunningham. So we don't know what's going on with that character. And there has been some speculation that Corey will be a brand new character. He will have as much screen time as Laurie and Allison and some of the other new characters. That's obviously all speculation right now at this point. But if that is the case, why? Why have this character? Is this kind of will this reignite Laurie in some sort of way of thinking that Corey is a new Michael Myers, that his evil is spreading, and he's because we've talked about how Michael Myers is pure evil, and it's been mentioned throughout the franchise, and it's been mentioned in this rebooted these two movies that he is something else. He's not human. He is something else. Something else drives him. With this new kid, Corey Cunningham, does Laurie and the other townspeople think we have another Michael Myers in our hand? Because they haven't seen Michael. The synopsis says no one has seen Michael in the 4 years since that night, since the last time that they saw him. So, I don't know. The synopsis is rather weird, but, it's obviously going to, drive all of us crazy and thinking, what's going on. Is, Corey a new Michael Myers? There's speculation that might happen from some fans online that have seen the synopsis and are assuming that. But again, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, the synopsis may be just something to throw us all off, because that final showdown in the trailer between Michael and Laurie, it does look like that's OG Michael, because there's a shot where Laurie, is stabbing a hand, and it's Michael's hand because he's missing, his fingers. Which Michael is now in this continuity of movies is missing fingers from the shotgun blast from Halloween 2018. So regardless of that, I am super excited. I cannot wait. Halloween is, despite its very checkered and troubled past, is one of my favorite franchises, and Halloween Ends, I cannot wait for it. I loved Halloween 2018. Halloween Kills, I just saw like the last half hour of the movie a few days ago. I think it was earlier this week when I saw it. I just kind of was flipping through channels, and there was nothing on, and I just landed on that and just watched it all over again. I think I've shared my thoughts on Halloween Kills. It's not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad either. But I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with Halloween Ends, despite what they're saying, despite, them telling us to, at least keep, check our expectations. I'm still looking forward to it. So Halloween Ends will open this year on October 14th. We'll obviously talk more about Halloween Ends when we get closer to the release date. Those are all the trailers that came out this week. Be sure to check all those out down below. And let's move on to this week's movie news items of the week. All right, let's talk about some of the movie news items that came out this week. After the success of the documentary The Beatles Get Back, Peter Jackson is reportedly eyeing another Beatles project. During a new interview, Jackson said that he's been talking to the Beatles members and is talking about another project with the group that won't be a documentary. There's no word on what the project could be, but a feature film does make sense and does seem like the next logical step in that process, especially with a big name like Peter Jackson attached. I have not seen The Beatles Get Back yet. I heard it's very, very good. I know people that have seen it and have said nothing but good things about it, so I should definitely get on that. But there you go. Peter Jackson may be eyeing another Beatles project, although, again, no confirmation on what it is, but I still wanted to bring that up. Also, this week, Blood Disgusting, the horror website, confirmed that Netflix is, quote, very deep in development on more Fear Street movies. But that's pretty much it. They didn't go into any more further details, just saying that they are into very deep development on those movies. The trilogy of movies that were based off the R.L. Stine book series, which are the more, quote, grown-up version of his other book series, Goosebumps. The movie took that approach and made those movies rated R instead of, maybe PG-13. No, they went full-blown rated R and took the very ambitious approach of releasing the movies weekly for the 3 weeks, because there was only 3 of them, obviously. They were all directed by Lee Janik, and she absolutely did a bang-up job at them. I was a big fan of the Fear Street movies. They aren't perfect. They do have some, missteps along the way, but all 3 of them are very, very, very good. And I, along with others, hope that we would be getting more. And now it looks like that might be the case. No word yet on if Janik will be involved in any sort of way, or if they will hire a new director, or if they will hire new directors. Janik took a very ambitious approach to direct all 3 movies, and did it in a very short period of time, with a very game cast. So, I would not be opposed to seeing her come back and directing, if they do it again, a trilogy of movies, bringing her back to do it, because she did, again, a pretty bang-up job. But with development underway, I personally hope that we get these movies sooner rather than later. I really like the Fear Street movies. If you've not checked out the Fear Street movies, please do yourself a favor and go check them out. The only thing I would say is, once the screen pops up at the end of the movies where it says, because there's little previews for the next movie on every, or on at least the 2 versions, obviously, first 2 movies, don't watch those, because it gives a lot away of the other movie. So if you're watch them in the order that they came out in. Don't watch them chronologically, time wise. Watch them in the order that they came out of, because it just makes it doesn't make sense, but it does make sense when you watch the movies themselves. But watch them in the order they came in. Don't watch them chronologically. Watch them in the order they were released. And Fear Street, go check this out, because they're really good movies. Moving on, let's talk about some release dates. Paramount has given The Quiet Place prequel titled A Quiet Place Day 1 a new release date, because it was supposed to come out next year in September. They pushed it back, though, another year, because now A Quiet Place Day 1 will be released on March 8th, 2024. The movie will be directed by Michael Ceranosky. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that last name right. He directed the Nicolas Cage starring movie Pig, which a lot of people really love. The movie was originally supposed to come out, like I mentioned, next year, but it's been pushed back for unknown reasons. I don't know why they decided to push that back, but they did. So there you go. Quiet Place Day 1, a prequel to the Quiet Place movies, will be released on March 8th, 2024. Let's move on to another release date. The fifth Insidious movie has a release date. Insidious 5, as it's going by right now, will come out next year on July 7th. The movie will bring back Patrick Wilson and Ty Simpkins for the first two movies, and Patrick Wilson will direct the movie, making this his directorial debut. The movie's exact plot details are currently unknown, but it will see Ty Simpkins' character, Dalton, the son from the first two movies, going off to college and being presumably haunted by the further coming back for Dalton. Who knows what's going on, but either way, he's going off to college, and Patrick Wilson will obviously be starring in the movie and be involved in some way going to help his son. Scott Teems, who wrote Halloween Kills, The Quarry, and Firestarter, wrote the movie, which is based off the story that was created by franchise co-creator Leigh Whannell, who obviously co-created the franchise with James Wan, and himself, Whannell, actually directed one of the other, I think it was part 3? I think it might have been part 3 that he directed as well. The last Insidious movie was Insidious: The Last Key, which that opened up in 2018. But every movie after Insidious Chapter 2 has been a prequel. So this will be the first actual sequel to I almost said something else entirely. But it will be the first actual sequel to, I almost said Friday the 13th. I'm not gonna lie, I almost said Friday the 13th. It will be the first, I don't know why, it will be the first actual sequel to the Insidious movies. Which would be pretty cool because, like I mentioned, everything else has been a prequel, and then bringing back Patrick Wilson and Ty Simpkins would be pretty cool. Maybe they'll bring back Rose Byrne. I don't know why Rose Byrne isn't there, but I'm assuming they'll probably will have a Rose Byrne appearance. She is the mother. She didn't. I don't think she died, right? I haven't seen the movies in quite some. I haven't seen the first two movies since they've come out. So, but I don't think she died. I don't know. I'll check back on. Get back to me on that one. But I'm looking forward to it. The Insidious movies. The last one wasn't really good. I'm not gonna lie. It wasn't great. But I appreciated what they tried to do in 3 because it had some pretty scary moments in there. But for the most part, I don't know. I think it just wasn't as good as the first two because I did really enjoy the first two movies. The first Insidious movie was the first horror movie that genuinely got me to be audible in a horror movie. I didn't scream, but I let out something along those lines. But yeah, it was the first. That was something, and it was a packed theater, and everyone was going crazy. So maybe that led to the experience. But yeah, that first Insidious movie. I remember the first Insidious movie, and it was very, very good. I did like the first one. I have a hard time remembering the second one. There's parts of it that I do remember, but I have a hard time remembering the second one. So I probably have to go back and check that out before this one comes out. I got a year, like I mentioned, Insidious 5, which is the title at the moment. I'm pretty sure they'll come up with some other title. Will come out on July 7th of next year. All right, let's move on with some casting updates. Peter Dinklage from, of course, most famous now for Game of Thrones, even though he has been a part of a bunch of other projects, but that's pretty much where everyone knows him, has joined the Hunger Games prequel, Hunger Games, the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Dinklage will play a character named Casca Highbottom, the Dean of the Academy. I haven't seen the Hunger Games movies in quite some time, so I don't know if that means anything. Dinklage will now join Tom Bilth. I don't know how you pronounce the last name. I think that's how you pronounce it, Bilth. He was in the epic series Billy the Kid, which I believe is still going on right now. He plays a young Cornelia Snow, which was played by Donald Sutherland in the original series. So this is following his character. Yes, we are following a villain in the prequel series. And also joining them are Rachel Ziegler from West Side Story. She's also going to be in the upcoming Shazam! Fury of the Gods, which comes out in December. She's also our new Snow White in the Disney live-action movie that's going to come out that they're working on. As a tribute, Lucy Gray Bard, the tribute assigned to Snow because he is someone who is a mentor to the Hunger Games that are going on at the moment. Francis Lawrence, who directed the last 3 movies of the Hunger Games series, Catching Fire, Mockingjay Part 1, and Mockingjay Part 2, will return to direct the movie, to direct this one. And Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes does have a release date for next year on November 17th. Yes, they are currently filming the movie. Other casting updates: Focus Features and India Paintbrush will partner to distribute Wes Anderson's newest film, Asteroid City. The film will be written and directed by Anderson and is based off an original story by Anderson and Roman Coppola, who worked together on the story for Isle of Dogs and The French Dispatch. Asteroid City will center on a desert town in 1955 as people from around the country come to partake in its junior stargazing convention. The cast has also been revealed, and like usual, Anderson has assembled quite a huge ensemble with some usual suspects in Anderson movies: Jason Schwartzman, Edward Norton, Adrian Brody, Liv Schreiber, William Dafoe, Tony Revolori. I always mispronounce his last name. And Tilda Swinton. Those are all, kind of the usual suspects for Anderson. Joining them will be Scarlett Johansson. She's worked with Anderson at quite a bit, like 2 or 3 of his movies. But Scarlett Johansson, Bryan Cranston, Tom Hanks, Hope Davis, Maya Hawke, Steve Carell, Matt Dillon, Margot Robbie, Sophia Lillis, and Rita Wilson. And there are plenty more people that were part of that cast, but I'd be here for days. Asteroid City doesn't have a release date just yet, but now with a distribution company behind them, obviously sky's the limit for that, and we'll probably get a release date sometime soon for Wes Anderson's next movie. Moving on, it turns out M. Night Shyamalan's upcoming movie, Knock at the Cabin, is actually an adaptation of Paul Tremblay's novel, The Cabin at the End of the World. The movie's impressive cast includes Dave Bautista, Rupert Grint, yes, Ron Weasley from the Harry Potter movies, Nikki Amuka Bird, I think I pronounce her name. She was in M. Night Shyamalan's last movie, Old. She plays one of the people on the beach. Ben Aldridge and Jonathan Groff, of course, from Mindhunters and the last Matrix movie. He was also the voice of Hans in Frozen. At the time, the movie was only described as a home invasion horror film set during the apocalypse. However, the book follows a 7-year-old named Wen and her parents, Eric and Andrew, on vacation at a remote cabin on a quiet New Hampshire lake when one day Wen encounters a stranger named Leonard who starts off friendly until things don't feel right and more strangers appear who are obsessed with the apocalypse. So that is what's going on. Knock at the Cabin will open on February 3rd, 2023. This was revealed by the writer himself, Paul Tremblay, who was doing an interview and let the cat out of the bag. I'm sure, he got permission to say that, yeah, M. Night Shyamalan's next movie is based off my book. But that's pretty interesting. That's the first we've heard about it. M. Night Shyamalan's last movie, Old, was actually based off a French graphic novel. So it looks like M. Night Shyamalan's taking a lot of his recent movies have obviously taken some inspiration or adaptations of previous work and obviously putting his spin onto what's going on. Moving on, Amazon Studios and Eddie Murphy have landed on their first film in their 3-film first look deal that they signed last year after the success of Coming to America. That movie is a holiday comedy titled Candy Cane Lane, which Murphy will produce and star in. The movie will also see Murphy reunite with his frequent producing partner Brian Grazer. This will actually be their 7th film working together, which is pretty impressive. And director Reginald Hudlin, the trio actually having done the 1992 hit Boomerang together, so this will be their first reunion back. Joining them is screenwriter Kelly Younger, who actually wrote the script as a spec script and is inspired by Younger's childhood holiday experiences. Younger himself has worked on a number of Pixar and Disney films, a lot of them Moana, Coco, Incredibles 2, Toy Story 4, Frozen 2, Onward, Raya and the Last Dragon, and he also worked on the live-action Aladdin movie. So, yeah, this script is in very, very good hands if that's his resume. No word yet on what the movie will be about per se, but production will move fast as filming is set to start this winter in Los Angeles with no release date having been announced just yet. But if that's Younger's resume, we obviously have Eddie Murphy's resume, and we have Brian Grazer's resume, and Reginald Hudlin's resume. This movie is probably going to be another hit for Prime Video, and another hit for Murphy and his production company working with Amazon Studios, which is pretty cool. Walt Disney Studios is trying their adaptation of Neil Gaiman's The Graveyard Book one more time, and they have hired a new director in Marc Forster, who has directed films like Finding Neverland, World War Z, and Christopher Robin. So he is set to direct the book. It tells the story of Nobody Bod Owen, a young boy who is raised by ghosts and supernatural beings of the graveyard, including the graveyard's caretaker Silas, after his family has passed away. David Mangy, who actually wrote Finding Neverland for Marc Forster. He also had a hand in writing Life of Pi, Mary Poppins Returns, and the upcoming Netflix movie The School of Good and Evil. He's also a part of the Disney live-action Little Mermaid script writing team. He recently got hired to do the script, and the book itself, in case you're wondering, like many of Neil Gaiman's other novels and books and short stories, has won multiple awards. And yes, it is basically takes inspiration from The Jungle Book, but with ghosts and spirits instead of animals and Mowgli. So there you go. Disney has been trying to get the adaptation going since 2012. Yes, they have been working on this thing since 2012. At the time, Neil Jordan, the director of movies like Interview with a Vampire, The Brave One, and recently a few years ago, Greta, he was going to direct, but he dropped out, and in came Henry Selick, who is mostly, of course, known for The Nightmare Before Christmas and Coraline. He was going to make it a stop motion film, because obviously that is what he is very comfortable with. He was going to make a stop motion, but then in January of 2013, Ron Howard came in, and he had planned on making the movie a live action movie, and then there had been nothing. This movie has been in dormant since 2013, and it is now finally back at it. There have been rumblings that that Disney was going to try to remake The Graveyard Book again, and now we finally have word, and they got Marc Forster to do it. Marc Forster has obviously worked with Disney. They obviously did Christopher Robin, and McGee has done Mary Poppins Returns for them, and so this is just, it's all coming together. Maybe we'll finally get The Graveyard Book. Who knows? But there you go. As for them, I mean, I'm gonna be honest. The only thing I've seen from Marc Forster is World War Z. I think there's another project that I saw of his, but the only thing that comes to my mind, if you tell me what movies have you seen of Marc Forster, World War Z is the only movie that comes to my mind. So having him, I've heard some good things about Christopher Robin. I've heard very, very good things about Finding Neverland. I've just never found the time to watch it. I think I started watching it one time, but it was very late at night, so I was really tired, and I think I fell asleep, not because of the movie, just because, again, it was really late at night, and I just never went back to watch it. So there you go. I don't know. I'm sure this will be good. Obviously, Neil Gaiman's, his work is always, up in Hollywood. It's, there's always stuff in the works, and his books are also very good, and there's a lot of source material there to take, and he's a very good writer, one of the best, and his stuff is always very good. So if you ever not read anything by Neil Gaiman, please go do it. He's very, very good. And some more director news. The sequel to the rebooted Mortal Kombat took a big step this week, as director Simon McQuoid, that's how I pronounce his last name, will be coming back to direct Mortal Kombat 2. This is the first update of the movie since earlier this year in January, when it was announced that Jeremy Slater, the man behind the TV series The Exorcist, The Umbrella Academy, and Moon Knight, would be taking over script duties. So yeah, that was back in January. We're now in, July, and we finally have, confirmation that McQuoid will come back to direct the movie. There's still no word yet on who will be returning or joining the movie, but now that we have the director, and assuming that the first movie's cast potentially sign a multi-movie contract, production could be moving pretty fast. Also, assuming that Slater has been knocking out pages since getting the job back in January. I've mentioned on the podcast, I really liked the first this rebooted Mortal Kombat movie. I would have loved to see. I think I mentioned it. I would love to see a sequel to this, and I still do. I really liked what they did. Obviously there was some missteps in the movie, but I think overall it captured the spirit of the video game more than Mortal Kombat Annihilation. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing what they do here. Obviously, they've, you can say they learned from their mistakes, and they have a new writer in tow, so maybe that will help. Simon McQuoid coming back, he did a pretty decent job. I'm not, so cast coming back, they left it off on a very big sequel tease of what they can do. So I'm looking forward to it. I was a fan of it, so I'm happy that they're finally moving forward with this. All right, so let's move on to the last movie news item that I have, at least at the time of this recording. Obviously, if anything else drops, I'll drop it after this movie news item. But right now, this is what we're going with. HBO Max and A24 have come to an agreement to stream the studio's library on their streaming service starting next month in August. A24 was founded of course, in 2013. And even though they had done some indie hits like Spring Breakers and The Spectacular Now that year in 2013, it wasn't really until 2015's Ex Machina and Room, which got some Oscar love, and then in 2016's The Witch, that the studio was looked at as one of the places to be and one of the places that audiences will go to watch a lot of movies, because they were pretty much coming out to, use, the kids' language these days. They were coming out with straight bangers, and they're still coming out with straight bangers. So yeah, it looks like the cutoff though will be 2018, probably for right now. I'm sure they're working something out, but the cutoff does look like to be 2018 because of the movies listed that they were going to come out, which I did not write because I'm an idiot. Those movies are How to Talk to Girls at Parties and Lean on Pete. Those are movies that came out in 2018. And that seems to be the cutoff. But again, I think that's just for right now. So it's not all their movies, but it's a good start because they can just keep, putting the movies back up, or, take some movies out and then, put some more movies back in. But this is a huge plus for A24 and for HBO Max, because I don't know if, I'm sure, a lot of, A24 movies are streaming on different services. Obviously, I think Apple TV Plus has a lot of A24 movies up on there, but to have a streaming service, a dedicated streaming service, especially like HBO Max, which has a very extensive library, I think that's pretty cool. I think that's a huge win for A24. And looking back at the story, I totally forgot that A24 hasn't been around for that long. I forgot The Spectacular Now was an A24 movie. I honestly did. I totally forgot that it was an A24 movie. And looking at their list of movies that they had done, that's crazy. Like A24 also started off on TV. Like they have a lot of TV projects that I don't think I think some people either forget are A24 movies or just don't think they're A24 projects. Like I always forget that Euphoria is an A24 project. Always. Like anytime it comes up, I was like, oh, it's, whatever. But like, no, I always forget it's A24. And there's a bunch of other stuff too. Like I didn't write anything down because I'm an idiot. But I was looking at that list of what they were doing. Just, I got interested. I went into a internet wormhole, like we all do. And I was like, oh man, like I totally forgot that was an A24. So yeah, this is pretty big. Like I mentioned, this is a big win for A24. Maybe this will lead to Everything Everywhere All at Once coming to HBO Max sooner rather than later. But this is pretty cool. I think this is a huge get for A24. It's a huge get, definitely, for HBO Max. Yeah, you want to watch some A24 movies, especially the early stuff, because it looks like a lot of their early stuff is going up on there. Subscribe if you haven't already to HBO Max, or just keep an eye out on August 1st, because that's when those movies will be going up. All right, so that's, like I mentioned, those were all the movie news items that came out at the time of this recording. Obviously, if anything big drops, I'll drop it right here. Nothing Comic-Con related, because I mentioned at the beginning, we'll be talking about Comic-Con early next week, on its own little separate podcast. So let's move on and talk about the movies that are coming out in theaters and streaming for all your viewing pleasures.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
All right, so let's go on to the movie that are coming out on streaming. We have one. We have one movie that at least I found. Streaming movies are a little hard because they're all over the place, and sometimes the lists don't get updated right away. So if there's anything else that's streaming, like straight from a streamer like Netflix, Hulu, Prime Video, I apologize. But the big one coming out streaming is The Gray Man, which is up on Netflix, directed by the Russo brothers. Joe and Anthony Russo, of course, directed Avengers Endgame, Avengers Infinity War, the last two Captain America movies, Civil War and The Winter Soldier. The movie, The Gray Man, when the CIA's most skilled operative, played by Ryan Gosling, whose true identity is known to none, accidentally uncovers dark agency secrets. A psychopathic former colleague, played by Chris Evans, puts a bounty on his head, setting off a global manhunt of international assassins. The movie co-stars Anna de Armas, Jessica Henwick, Reggie Jean Page, Alfred Woodard, Wagner Mara, Shea Wingham, and Billy Bob Thornton. This looks absolutely good. The trailer came out. We talked about when the trailer came out. We talked about it last week when it got its limited theater run. It looks great. It looks awesome. I don't know why this movie's coming out on Netflix. It should have got a full theater release, because I would have definitely wanted to go see this in theaters. The cast is amazing, but it looks awesome. It looks great. The action looks good. Chris Evans is playing a crazy, unhinged villain, which is great. Ryan Gosling's playing a CIA assassin. Anna de Armas is in there kicking ass. It looks great. I mean, I can't say anything else. It looks awesome. I cannot wait to watch this. So yeah, there's that. So that's your streaming movie of the week. Your movie in theaters is one big one. It's Nope. It is written and directed by Jordan Peele. Stars Daniel Kaluuya, Keke Palmer, Brendan Pereira, Michael Wincott, and Steven Yeun. The early reviews for this thing are nothing but positive. Seriously, it is amazing. I have not seen one negative thing about Nope. At least from, things that have made it into my timeline. Nothing. No negativity. Everything that people have been saying about this movie is that it's good. People are saying it's a modern day Jaws, or it's at least, very reminiscent of Jaws. It's a fun summer blockbuster movie that you just don't get a lot of, at least the feel. That's how people are saying it. So I cannot wait for this. I don't know if I'll be watching it opening weekend because, obviously Jordan Peele's movies tend to bring out a bigger crowd, and I'm not comfortable sitting in a very packed theater just yet. But yeah, I'm definitely going to go watch this in a theater. I'm not going to wait to watch this at home. I'm definitely going to go. If I have to go in the middle of the week, I will. This looks amazing. This looks great. This looked great from the very beginning, from the get-go, whether it was directed by Jordan Peele or not. But the fact that it has Jordan Peele's name on it and it's written and directed by him says a lot. Get Out was great. Us was a very divisive, very divided film for movie fans. I liked it though. I liked it. I liked it. It was as good as Get Out. I don't know, because it was a completely different movie. I don't think you compare it to Get Out, because I think if you do that, then you're kind of you're not catching the complexities of what Us is all about. I'm not saying it's better than Get Out. That's not what I'm saying. But regardless of that, I think Jordan Peele is great. I think he's one of the best modern directors that we have. I'm not saying he is the best, but he is one of the best. And I think Nope, at least from the early reviews that have been going out, seems to cement that. So I cannot wait to watch this in a movie theater. So your movies in theaters this weekend are Nope, and your streaming movie of the week is The Gray Man over on Netflix. That's it, everybody. Thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast this week. No matter where you're listening to, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, or Anchor, I very much appreciate it. No matter where you're watching, or listening, if you're watching me, that's kind of weird. But no matter where you're listening to, please leave a rating, a review for the podcast. It helps with the podcast in the long run, especially on Apple Podcasts. And I think Stitcher and Spotify also have rating systems, right? I can't remember correctly. I probably should know that. I probably shouldn't say that. Probably should not have admitted that out loud. Anyway, please, just no matter where you're listening to, I hope you're enjoying the podcast. I really do. If you want to follow the podcast on social media, which I highly recommend you do, go do that. Links are all down below in the description/show notes area, along with the trailers that came out this week. If you want to go watch those for the first time, or you want to go watch those all over again, they're all right there for you, so you can go pick and watch. Very much appreciate you guys listening. As always, please be good people. If you are in the heat wave that is going on right now, please be safe. Please be careful. Please stay cool. And just everything else. Please just, be aware of your surroundings. Be good people. Try to help out. Golden rule. Don't be a dick. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. Thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast this week. Very much appreciate it. As always, like I mentioned, I will try my hardest to put out that Comic-Con podcast on Monday. If not, it will definitely go up on Tuesday. I will be not streaming. I'll be tweeting some stuff from Comic-Con as it's comes out from everywhere up on over the weekend. And that's pretty much it. That's all I got for you guys. So one more time, thank you guys for listening, and be good people. And as always, go watch some movies.
Whoop whoop! Yeah! Give it up! Movies!